So in this class, we are going to see about random forest classifier. So first, let us understand what is random forest. So this random forest classifier is the most popular machine learning algorithm, and it belongs to the category of supervised learning technique. And we can use this algorithm for both classification as well as regression problems in the machine learning. And this random forest classifier is based upon a concept known as ensemble learning. We will see what is this ensemble learning. And this ensemble learning algorithms are the algorithms which are going to combine multiple classifiers in order to improve the accuracy or the performance of the model. For example, if I say that I have classifier 1, which is nothing but model 1, it is going to give me certain accuracy. If I want to improve the accuracy of the model, I can combine multiple classifiers together, then I can improve the accuracy by means of this ensemble learning. And this random forest classifier algorithm is working only based upon the decision tree. Even though you have different models, this is working based upon the decision tree model, whatever we have seen already. And it is going to combine many different trees. So because of that only, we are going to call this as forest of trees, because you know that forest is nothing collection of so many trees. So this random forest algorithm is collection of many decision trees. So it is known as random forest. And this algorithm is not going to rely on one decision tree for generating the output. Instead, it is going to construct multiple decision trees during the training time. And during the testing time, it is going to take the predictions with the help of all the multiple decision trees. So because of this only, we will say that this is a best algorithm when compared to decision tree. And this, when we increase the number of trees in the random forest, then we will get more accuracy, as well as in decision tree, we have seen that there is a disadvantage, that is nothing but overfitting. All the decision tree algorithms are overfitting when we go deeper into the tree. So this random forest will prevent the overfitting in the decision tree. And for classification task, when we choose the random forest, the output of the random forest is the class selected by most of the trees. Because here we are not going to rely on one tree. Instead, we are going to construct multiple trees. Then how to determine the output for classification task? So see what is the output of most of the decision trees and use that as the output of your random forest. Suppose if your task is a regression task, then every decision tree will be generating one output, which is a continuous value because it is a regression task. You find what is the mean or average of all the predictions of the individual trees. That is going to tell you what is the prediction by your random forest. So this is how your random forest is going to work. This is a basic introduction about random forest. Now let us see how we are going to do classification. So we are going to consider a random forest which is going to contain n decision trees, and they are going to have different set of hyperparameters, and every tree is trained on different subset of data. We will see all these things in the later slides. So now I'm going to consider that I have 50 decision trees in the random forest. It can be set by the user during the design of the algorithm. Let me assume that I have 50 decision trees in the random forest. And these decision trees have different set of hyperparameters and different subset of training data. And also the decision or the prediction given by the trees can vary a lot. It's not that all the trees will predict a particular sample as a positive sample. Some of the trees can predict as negative sample also. So the decision will vary a lot. And to find the prediction of all the 50 trees on the testing data, you have to take a simple voting scheme. Voting scheme is nothing but majority voting. For example, if I want to go a movie, I don't have any idea whether to go to movie or not. So what I can do is I can approach 5 of my friends. I can ask them whether this movie is good. What is your opinion? Then I will collect the voting from him. He can say yes, good or not good. Likewise, I will collect the voting from all the 5 friends. Then I will choose who gave the majority option given by my friends. That is nothing but if majority are saying that, okay, this is a good movie, you can go and watch. Then I will go and watch. If majority are saying not good, then I will not go to the movie. So this is how the decision tree is going to help in the random forest. So here I can say that each of my friend is a decision tree. I am collecting opinion from them. I am deciding finally. So finally, what is my conclusion? I am going to conclude whether I will go to the movie or not. Why this method is better? For example, one of my friend may like the movie and other may not like the movie. If I'm collecting only from two friends, I cannot come to a particular conclusion. So what I'm doing is I can collect from multiple friends. So on the average, they will give me correct prediction about the movie. Okay, so when the number of trees are more, you will get more accuracy in the random forest. Now, this is the diagram which is going to explain. So first, I'm going to give a testing instance. So if you consider this is a random forest. It has been created with multiple decision trees. You can see here tree number 1, tree number 2, etc. up to tree number n. And I have already constructed this decision tree structure during the training phase. And during the testing phase, a new instance is given to me. I want to predict the instance. So what I'll be doing is I'll be giving this instance to all the decision trees in parallel. The algorithms will be executed in parallel. So every decision tree is going to accept the same instance as the input, and they will predict what is the class for that particular instance. This is nothing but target class, whether I can go to the movie or not, whether I can play tennis or not, and so on. It can be even multi-class classification problem. So now I am collecting the target class from all the decision trees. Then I am going for majority voting. If you consider this particular diagram, I am assuming that there are 3 different trees. The first tree is giving me the target class as X, and second as Y, third as X. So I'm going to count how many X are there and how many Y are there. There are 2 X, whereas only 1 Y is there. Therefore, the majority is X. So I will say that the final class of that particular training instance is X. Now, the random forest classifiers are using another concept known as bagging. It is also known as bootstrap aggregation. Now, let us see what is this and why we need this bagging. We have seen the decision trees disadvantage. That is nothing but decision trees are sensitive to errors in the training data. Or even you can say that whatever training data you are giving, they are predicting only based upon the training data. They are developing the knowledge only based upon the training data. Even if you have small changes to the training data set, it will create significant difference in the decision tree structure. Because we have seen during the decision tree classes, whatever training instances you are giving, the trees are constructed only based upon that. Even if there is a small mistake in my class label, that is going to create a different tree structure. Okay. Whereas in case of random forest, each individual tree is constructed by selecting the samples randomly from the data set with replacement. For example, if my data set is having 100 samples, I'll not give all the 100 samples to the trees. Instead, what I will do is for every tree, I will select different group of samples from that. I will forward to that. So because of that, my tree structures will be different. If you are not doing that step, irrespective of the number of decision trees you are constructing in the random forest, all will be the same. We don't want that. We want different persons to think differently. Then from that only we are going to consolidate everything. So what is the main point here is you should not give same input to all the decision trees. You have to give different inputs. Because of that only you will be creating different tree structure. And this process is called as bagging. And here very important thing is we are going to select the samples randomly with the replacement technique. We will see what is this now. So let us consider now how bagging is going to work. So in this, we are not subsetting the training data into smaller chunks. What is the meaning here is if I have 100 samples, if I have 10 trees, I'm not going to divide that 100 by 10. If I divide 100 by 10, every tree will be getting 10 different samples. I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I'll be doing is, if I have a data set with the number of samples as n, for every decision tree, I'm going to give only n samples. Then where the randomness comes into picture. If I am giving all the trees with n samples, I need to have some randomness in that. For that, we take a random sample of size n with replacement technique. And that n sample will be given as a decision tree 1 input. Similarly, for the second decision tree, again, you will select another random set of n samples. You will feed as input to that tree. This process will be repeated for all the trees. So for example, let me consider that my original training set contains totally 7 samples. with instance number 1 to 7. Now for the decision tree 1, 2, and 3, I'm constructing 3 now. For all the trees, I have to give only 7 inputs, but they should not be same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the 7 inputs randomly. So for the decision tree 1, it may happen that the input is 1, 2, 2, 3, 6, 6, 4. If you see here, certain instances will be repeated. For example, 2 is repeated twice, 6 is also repeated twice. And for the second decision tree, again, from the same 7 inputs, I am going to select 7 inputs randomly by replacement technique. What is the replacement technique here is you take one sample and again put the same sample into the sample space. Second time, it may happen that you will select the same sample which has been already selected. That is the advantage of replacement technique. If you go for without replacement, it is not going to work. It should be random sampling with replacement. Now for the second decision tree, if you consider there are totally 7 inputs, out of that 2 inputs are same. That is 2 times 4 is appearing. And for the third decision tree, 1 is appearing twice and remaining are appearing 1 time. So this we are getting because of random sampling with replacement. So now all the decision trees are constructed with the same number of examples. The meaning is total count of the samples is 7. But the examples are selected randomly from the original training examples with replacement policy. This is the basic idea of bagging, which is the backbone of the random forest classifier. Now, this is the previous slide. We have seen how to select different rows or instances. Now, let us see how to select the different features. Features are nothing but columns. So now, is it that all the decision trees in our random forest are going to have all the set of features? Or I'm going to select a subset of features, feed it to the decision tree 1. Then again, I'm going to select another subset of features, feed it to the decision tree 2, and so on. So for that, we have feature selection in the random forest. So in the decision tree, when we want to split the tree into branches, we have seen ID3 algorithm. In the ID3 algorithm, whenever I want to select a root node, for selecting the root node, I'll be considering parameters, metrics like entropy and then information gain. Based upon that only, we will be selecting the root node. Always you have to select the root node in such a way that it is going to differentiate the classes exactly. That is our aim. We want to minimize the differences in that. Okay, if we go to the particular branch, if all attributes or all the instances are belonging to the same class, then we will say that it is pure. We have seen something called as purity and then impurity. So it is based upon this only. So in a decision tree, when we split the tree into 2 different branches, we consider every possible feature and then we are going to pick the one that produces the most separation between the observations in the left branch as well as in the right branch. That is done based upon the parameters, entropy, and then information gain. Now in random forest, it's not that we are going to select all the features during the initial stage. In that, what we will do is each tree can select only a random subset of features from the entire set of features. So here also we are going to introduce randomness. So randomness is introduced in 2 different places. One is during the instances, another is during the features. So why we do this? Why can't we select all the features for the different decision trees in random forest? So here we are doing this to introduce variation among the trees. Okay, we don't want all the trees to work similarly. We want to introduce some variation. Because of that only, we are not giving all the trees with the same set of features. And when we do that, this results in lower correlation across trees and we can get more diversification. This is our aim. Okay, so now we have seen randomness in 2 different places. So now consider this particular diagram. It is going to illustrate what is the difference between the decision tree and the random forest. So the left-hand side is the decision tree. Here, I have totally 5 features. Features are nothing but the columns are attributes. When I construct the decision tree to the root node, I'll be giving all the 5 features as input. And the decision tree will be constructed based upon that. Whereas in case of random forest, here I am assuming a random forest with the 2 decision trees. Okay, so top is the decision tree 1 and bottom is the decision tree 2. When I want to construct the decision tree 1, instead of the selecting 5 features, I'm going to select only 3 features, F1, F3, and F5. that will be given as input to the root node. And then it will be proceeding according to the information gain and entropy to construct the decision tree. And for the decision tree 2, I'm giving 3 features again, but it is F2, F4, and F5, not the same set of features. So now I will say that the trees will be constructing differently according to the importance of the feature set given to that particular tree. So this is how they are going to differ in nature by means of the features. So here an important notice, in random forest, we end up with trees that are not only trained on different sets. It's nothing but you are training examples, the training instances, but also on different features to make decisions. So we introduce randomness in rows as well as in the columns. So now let us see how the bootstrapping and aggregation is done in case of random forest. So now I am assuming a training data set. The training data set contains totally 4 features, X1, X2, X3, and X4. And why is the target class what we want to predict? This is a classification problem. So if you see here, I have 2 different labels, 1 and 2. And now I'm going to construct the decision trees from this. First, I'm going to use something called as bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is nothing but here I have the training data set. I'm going to divide this into different training data sets for each and every individual decision tree, because in random forest we have n trees now. For the first tree, if you consider, I'm selecting only 3 features. So 3 features are nothing but X1, X3, and X4 I'm selecting. And if you consider the number of records, the number of records should be same. So here I am selecting 3 records. Okay, for all the decision trees, I'm selecting 3 records. For the first one, I'm selecting the first record, second record, and then 5th record. And for the second decision tree, out of the 4 features, I'm selecting X2, X3, X4 as the input, and I am selecting 3 instances, B1, B3, and B4. So here, starting with B1, B3, B4, you can say that instance 1, instance 3, and instance 4. And for the last decision tree, I'm selecting only 2 features, X1 and X2. And here I'm selecting 3 instances again, instance 2, instance 3, and then instance 5. Now, these instances are fed to the corresponding corresponding decision trees. And now the first decision tree is going to accept only these 3 features. It will be selecting the root node according to the entropy and then information gain from these 3 attributes. And finally, the tree will be constructed. Then you will do for all the decision trees in the similar way. And finally, when this is the training phase only. Okay. And finally, I am going for the testing phase. During the testing phase, I'll be giving you a test sample. Then you have to pass that test sample to the decision tree 1, decision tree 2, etc. up to the decision tree n. You will get n different outputs. That is nothing but n votings. You combine all the votings, count the number of times the class 1 is appearing at the output, and count how many times the class 2 is appearing at the output. Then find the majority of voting. That is your final decision. So here we are doing something called as aggregation. So here, if you consider, first we have done bootstrapping for splitting the data set. Then during the final decision, we are doing aggregation. And since we are constructing multiple trees here, this is ensemble of trees. Now, again, summarize the points of bootstrap and then aggregation. So the random forest classifier is an ensemble method that trains several decision trees in parallel, with first bootstrapping followed by aggregation. And this entire process is jointly called as bagging. Okay, and this bootstrapping indicates that several individual decisions are trained in parallel on various subsets of training data set using different subset of available features. And why we go for this particular method is it ensures that each individual decision tree in the random forest is unique. And because of this, we will get overall variance of the random forest classifier as a low value. Our aim is always we want to get low variance in the random forest classifier. Because of this only we are doing this. And for the final decision, the random forest classifier aggregates the decision of individual trees, and then it is going to give you good generalization. And we will say that the random forest classifier tends to outperform most other classification methods in terms of accuracy, because here we are reducing overfitting effect. In decision tree, we have overfitting, but in random forest, we are reducing that. And also the random forest classifier is more robust to the selection of training samples and noise in the training data set. If you go for only one tree construction, there is a noise that is going to affect your training a lot. But here, since we are constructing multiple trees, all are not trained with the same data set. So the effect of noise in the training decision is reduced. So now if you consider the algorithm is going to work in two phases. In phase one, we are going to create the random forest by combining n decision trees. This is the training phase. Then phase two, we are going to make predictions for each tree created in the first phase. This is a testing phase. So now let us see how the training phase is going to work. So in the training phase, we are going to create random forest. So for that, randomly select k features from the total m features. And here k should be less than n. So once you select the features, among the k features, you calculate the node D of the decision tree using the best split point. Decision trees are constructed by splitting the nodes only based upon the attributes. So out of the k attributes you have selected, you have to choose the best attribute. That should be the root node of that particular branch of the decision tree. So for that, you calculate the node D using the best split point, using the different measures, and split the tree into daughter nodes using the best split point, and repeat the steps 1 to 3 until L number of nodes have been reached. Because in decision tree, you have to go to certain level. Okay, that can be determined either based upon number of levels set by the user. For example, if I say that I can have only 3 levels in the decision tree, I can proceed the algorithm until 3 levels are reached. Or otherwise, sometimes I will say till you converge, you proceed. Instead of specifying the level, you will say that till you converge, you proceed. That means that every branch at the leaf node, we have a unique outcome that is going to tell you the label. Just recollect your decision tree topic so that you will be able to understand all the concept. So we are going to repeat the steps 1 to 3 until L number of nodes have been reached. So once you do that, finally build forest by repeating the steps 1 to 4 to create n number of trees. So steps 1 to 4 are creating only one tree, but we are going to develop a forest, which is a collection of trees. So you're going to repeat the steps 1 to 4 to create n number of decision trees. So after at the end of this first phase, you will have n number of decision trees readily available with you. Now you can go to the testing phase. So in the testing phase, we are going to make predictions. So for that, you take the test features and use the rules of each randomly created decision tree, and you predict the outcome. And finally, you store all the outcomes in a particular table because you need to go for majority voting. And once you finish with all the decision trees, then calculate the votes for each predicted target and select the high voted predicted target as a final prediction from your random forest algorithm. So this is only for classification problem. If it is regression problem, instead of going for majority voting, you find the sum of all the prediction and take the average. Now let us see the applications of random forest. You can use random forest in many areas. I have listed only a few here. You can use in banking to identify the risk in a particular loan application. And also in medicine, you can use the decision tree along with the random forest classifier for identifying the trend and risk of the disease. For example, you can use it to identify whether COVID is increasing and what all the risks we have with the help of random forest classifier. Then in land use, we can identify areas of similar land use by applying the random forest classifier, as well as in marketing and in stock market, you can identify the trends, whether a particular stock price is increasing or not. Everything can be identified with the help of the random forest. Now, what is the difference between random forest and decision trees? You will be able to give the answer now. So random forest is nothing but it is a collection of multiple decision trees, and decision trees are computationally faster when compared to random forest, because in random forest we are constructing multiple decision trees. So people they say that a single decision tree algorithm is faster than the random forest. And the deep decision trees may suffer from overfitting. Instead of going for random forest, if you go for only decision tree, you will go deep into the tree. In that case, you will have the overfitting problem. But this random forest prevents the overfitting problem by creating trees on different attribute set and different instances. Okay, so that is the advantage of going for random forest. You can overcome the overfitting of the decision trees. And random forest is difficult to interpret because we are not having one decision tree now, we have multiple trees. Whereas a decision tree is easily interpretable and it can be easily converted into rules. We have seen that once you construct the decision tree, you can collect decision rules from the decision tree. If it is one tree, the construction of rules are very simple. But in case of random forest, we are having multiple trees. So it is very difficult to interpret when compared to the random decision tree algorithm. Now let us see the advantages of random forest. So the random forest solves the decision tree overfitting problem, and random forest with enough trees won't overfit. It's not that you have to stop the random forest only with the 2 trees. You have to construct enough number of trees to avoid the overfitting. And random forest can be used for both classification as well as regression problems. And these random forests are extremely flexible and they have very high accuracy when compared to the decision tree algorithm. And here in random forest, we have something called as a hyperparameter tuning. When we tune the parameters properly, we can produce a good prediction result. And these random forest algorithms maintain accuracy even when a large portion of our data are missing. Always the accuracy of a system depends upon the data without any missing value also. But when you go for random forest algorithm, even if large amount of data are having missing values, this is going to maintain the accuracy. The accuracy will not be affected much in this. And coming to the disadvantages of random forest, they are very complex when compared to the decision trees and harder to interpret. And it is time consuming process also as we are constructing multiple trees. And large number of trees can make the algorithm too slow and it is ineffective for real-time predictions because in real-time prediction, we want to make the decision immediately. So when we construct multiple trees, it is going to slow our process. So these are all some of the disadvantages of random forest algorithm.